Hello, my fabulous royal watchers. Fasten your fascinators, pour yourself a perfectly steeped cup of Earl Grey, and settle in, because today's episode is a jaw-dropping ride the palace spin doctors pray you'll never hear. It stars iron-willed Princess Anne in full, no-nonsense and stiff upper-lip mode, a quietly calculating Queen Camilla with a boarding school blueprint that could upend a 9-year-old's childhood, and the incandescent Princess Charlotte, the little royal dynamo suddenly caught in a tug-of-war for Windsor influence. What happens when the monarchy's toughest daughter locks horns with its newest queen over Britain's most watched little girl? The sparks you're about to witness could reshape the next half-century of royal life. A whisper, a tear, a declaration of war. It all began, as so many Windsor dramas do, with a murmured conversation in Buckingham Palace's pillared colonnade and one incendiary rumor. Queen Camilla, insiders claim, had pressed King Charles to dispatch Princess Charlotte to an unforgiving Scottish boarding school this September, tagging along with big brother Prince George. To Camilla, it was simply upholding tradition. To Princess Anne, it was a glaring red line. According to one steel-spined equerry, Anne's bright blue eyes shimmered with tears of rage the moment she learned of Camilla's lobbying. The Princess Royal, who once single-handedly thwarted a kidnapping and still rises at dawn to muck out her own stables, doesn't cry lightly. Those tears signaled mother lion ferocity for her niece. Within hours, veterans in the royal household heard three of the most chilling words in palace vernacular: Anne wants answers. Inside Camilla's quiet coup attempt. Why the sudden push to send Charlotte north now? Whispered explanations vary, but they converge on a single theme: power optics. William and Catherine's popularity ratings currently hover above 80%, eclipsing Charles and Camilla's by a royal mile. By thinning the spotlight on the next generation, moving Charlotte hundreds of miles away for 9 months each year, Camilla could subtly shift the focus back to herself and the king during crucial engagements. Yet the plan ignored one unbreakable royal law: never underestimate Princess Anne. Anne's counteroffensive, discreet but devastating. First came the information sweep. With skill honed during decades of equestrian team selection and Commonwealth diplomacy, Anne's ladies-in-waiting discreetly quizzed school governors, private secretaries, and even royal nannies. 48 hours later she possessed a timeline proving Charlotte's boarding application had advanced without the Wales's signature, a cardinal breach of parental prerogative. Next, the so-called stable summit. Under the pretext of inspecting polo ponies at Gatcombe Park, Anne invited Prince William for an early morning hack. Away from CCTV and footmen, she laid out Camilla's proposal in brutal clarity. Eyewitness grooms say William's knuckles whitened on the reins as she listed every clandestine meeting, every unsigned form, every pressure point applied to Charles. The future king's jaw tightened, but Anne raised a gloved hand, insisting he allow her to handle it. Then came silent pressure. Anne telephoned Charles that evening from a study lined with fox-hunting prints. No shouting, just a steely reminder of the vow carved into their childhood: family first, image second. 24 hours later the school plan was declared, pending further review, palace code for scrapped and buried in a sub-basement filing cabinet. Why Anne's tears mattered. Even seasoned courtiers were rattled to see and cry. Friends trace her emotion to memories of her own austere years at Benenden School in Kent: lonely dorms, icy morning drill, perpetual media scrutiny. Though Anne thrived academically, she never forgot the ache of exile from family warmth. The idea of Charlotte reliving that isolation, especially orchestrated without parental blessing, sliced through Anne's armor. Catherine's grace under invisible fire. During those tense days, the Princess of Wales remained blissfully unaware. She smiled for cameras at oncology wards, opened sensory gardens for toddlers, and pressed palms with veterans, never sensing that her daughter's education was being negotiated in secret. When Anne finally briefed her, observers describe a single instant of white-faced shock followed by a controlled, frigid calm. Catherine's whispered reply, "Not my little Lottie." At that moment, the mother-aunt alliance snapped into diamond-hard solidarity. The palace fallout no one will publicly admit. Palace corridors now hum with talk of a cold cream chill between Anne and Camilla. They exchange immaculate curtsies at Westminster services, but insiders swear Anne's trademark half-smirk vanishes when Camilla approaches. Charles, keen to avoid any whiff of 1990s Windsor warfare, has since decreed that all schooling discussions must involve both parents and the Princess Royal in an advisory capacity. That is as close as Buckingham will ever come to issuing an apology. Behind the scenes, at least 2 senior aides associated with the boarding scheme have been redeployed. One now oversees an obscure restoration project at Balmoral, another has accepted a diplomatic posting in the Bahamas. Officially routine, unofficially exile. Why Charlotte's whereabouts matter? For now, Charlotte remains at Lamrook with George and Louis, sleeping in her beloved lilac bedroom, feeding her Shetland pony Belle before lessons, cartwheeling across Windsor lawns. But the principle is bigger than geography. In rescuing Charlotte from forced separation, and preserved a modern parenting model William and Catherine cherish: day school, nightly family dinners, soccer on Saturdays, baking on rainy Sundays. It's the childhood they promised Diana they'd give their children, rooted in love, not archaic distance. Historical echoes: when boarding school broke royal hearts. Royal historians point to Prince Charles's miserable years at Gordonstown, icy dorms, relentless bullying, letters home soaked in homesick tears, as proof that boarding is no panacea for royal resilience. Princess Diana insisted William and Harry attend Eton partly to spare them their father's pain. Yet even Eton's gilded halls couldn't protect Harry from future demons. Anne sees these cautionary tales in every dusty yearbook, and chooses family closeness over cold tradition. Public backlash, or public applause. Social media exploded once whispers leaked. #Let Lotta Stay rocketed up X-Trend charts. Morning talk shows debated whether 9 is too young to exile a child for PR optics. Pollster YouGov reported 68% of Britons endorse William and Catherine's decision to keep Charlotte local. Royal commentators predicted Camilla's misstep could shadow her gentle grandmother narrative for months. Camilla's allies insist she merely followed precedent set for Princess Margaret, Princess Alexandra, even and herself. But precedent is no match for a modern aunt with steel in her spine and the press at her back. Anne's lifetime of quiet victories. Those close to the Princess Royal say this latest intervention cements her unofficial title, the Fixer. She once outmaneuvered courtiers who tried to sideline the newly engaged Diana. She quietly shielded Zara and Peter Phillips from tabloid ambushes. She even mediated a standoff between Charles and Andrew over military titles. Her method is always the same: swift intelligence, hushed confrontation, surgical realignment, rarely noticed, endlessly effective. Toward a new Windsor balance. This episode recalibrates palace power lines. Anne emerges as guardian of Generation Alpha royals. Catherine doubles down on early years advocacy, armed with fresh resolve. William now recognizes that his aunt is the family's ultra-reliable safety net. Camilla stays queen, but with a caution label: tread carefully where nieces and nephews are involved. The deeper divide remains: a 21st century parenting ethos of warmth and accessibility versus a 20th century belief in stoic boarding discipline. Which vision will mold tomorrow's monarchs? For now, Anne's view prevails, but court watchers know the debate is far from over. The human cost behind the tiara. Behind every tiara glint lies a child's bedtime story, a mother's heartbeat, an aunt's sleepless night. In averting Camilla's boarding gambit, Princess Anne didn't just win an argument, she preserved a little girl's nightly kiss goodnight, a father's pride, and a kingdom's fragile unity. Next time you watch Charlotte's carefree wave from a carriage, Remember the silhouette, just out of frame. A tweed-clad aunt resolved that no unseen hand will dim that wave, or the spark of the girl who gives it. And that, dear viewers, is why sometimes the fiercest love in Windsor wears sensible riding boots, keeps her hair in a no-nonsense chignon, and fights her battles in silence. Thank you for listening to this deeper dive into palace intrigue. If today's revelations left you breathless, tap that like button, subscribe for more Behind the Gates exclusives, and give us your thoughts below. Until next time, stay royal curious and remember, the real drama is always in the details we're never meant to see.